Hi, welcome to the channel to Rational. I'm Pranay Sharma, and in this video we are going to solve CS1 Paper B conducted by IFoA Institute in April 2024. We are going to solve the complete solution for this paper, but if you want the solution sheets, I'll leave a number below where you should WhatsApp or Telegram your email ID and ask for CS1 solutions, and we are going to email you the same. If you find any mistakes or if you have any doubts, please comment below. I am going to reply as soon as possible. Let's get started. Question number 1. An insurance company wants to study the association between the number of years their clients spent in education and their claim amounts. Data from 25 randomly selected claims are contained in the file amount years.rdata in the following two variables. Claim amount, this is the claim amount, and education years, this is the number of years the client spent in education. First is plot the claim amount against the years of education. Let's load the data first. So these are the 5 files. We want this amount years. I'll right click, open with, and then RStudio. Press yes. Here we have the data, claim amount and education years. First part, we want to plot. So plot claim amount will be our y value. So education years, comma, claim amount, and I'll name So here's the graph. It seems to be positively related but may not be perfectly linear. A statistician suggests fitting a simple linear model to the data. Second A, fit the linear model to the data, and B is plot the regression line by adding it to the graph in part 1. So first, let's say model 1 is linear model. Here Y is the claim amount, follows X is education years. That's it. This is the model, and now I have to make a line. That would be AB line. AB line model 1. I will change the color to red. So this becomes a line. Another statistician looks at the plot in part 1 and suggest a non-linear relationship. Third A, fit the model with quadratic term added to the model fitted in part 2. B, state the equation of the fitted model. Now we want the quadratic term of this education year, so I will just write year 2, that is education years raised to 2, that's my quadratic part. Now I have to make it into a model. 3A, so it's a model 2, the linear model. Claim amount follows education years plus year 2. We have to write the regression line, so for that we will require the coefficients. So model 2 dollar coefficients, these are the coefficients. Accordingly, I'll make the model. And then we'll label it properly. So Y is claim amount, X1 is number of years in education, X2 is the square of number of years in education, and E is nothing but error. Fourth part, comment on the suitability of the quadratic model in part 3 compared to the model in part 2 based on the output from 3. For comparing multilinear model, we are going to require the adjusted R squared. So first I want the summary of both the models. And using that summary, I'll calculate the adjusted R squared for both of them. Then we'll write both models have low or moderate fit. Comparing the adjusted R squared of both the models, quadratic model in part 3 has a better fit than the model in part 2. Let's go to the next question. Question number 2. A financial consultancy working with a large firm wishes to model the relationship between a firm's asset and the number of senior management positions in the firm. The data file firms.rdata contains the variables assets, this is the value of assets, and SN positions, this is the number of senior management positions. You can load the file into R using this. I prefer just right click, open with RStudio. Yes. First part, plot the number of senior management position as a function of assets. So we'll have plot assets, comma, SN underscore senior positions. Okay. I'll change the while label. Second part, plot the number of senior management position as a function of log 10 assets, where log 10 assets is the assets at log 10 scale. First I will make that vector log 10 underscore assets. That would be log 10. Either you can use log and then change the base to 10, or you just have log 10 as your function assets. And here we go. We are going to now use that to plot third part. Comment on your plots in part 1 and 2. Plot in part 1 shows a positive relationship that seems non-linear. Plot in part 2 shows a positive linear relationship. Log 10 assets seems to have better linear relation than assets. An analyst wishes to check if the number of senior management positions follow a Poisson distribution. Calculate the mean number of senior management positions. All we have to do is mean. I'll write it as M, mean of senior positions, and I'll just write down M value, that is 13.58065. I'll paste it as an answer. Next, use the command set.seed222 to initiate the random number generator. Generate a sample of size equal to the number of firms from a Poisson distribution with the parameter equal to the mean calculated in part 4. So first I'll just say N is length of SN position. Then let's do set.seed222. And using that, now we have to create a sample. I'll just say same sample. Our poise size is n with the parameter m. So here we have the sample. Sixth part, plot a histogram of the sample simulated in part 5 and a histogram of SN positions on two separate graphs but on the same scale, specifying appropriate access limits and labels. So first let's check our histograms. So HIST for SAM and HIST for SN positions. Clearly they are very different graphs. The scale of SN positions is going from 0 to 110. Here scale is from 0 to 30. So clearly we need the scale 0 to 110. Now even the breaks are very much different here and here. Here the break seems to be 2 values each, whereas here the value seems to be 10. So I will directly make the breaks. Just say comma breaks, so that comparison becomes very easy. So I would need all the breaks. It will be a sequence between 0 and 110, where the difference I will take it as 5, and I'll do the same for the second histogram as well. I'll run both of these. Now the scale on y-axis, here we are going till 120. Here it seems like we are going till 100, so I will make this one go till 120. I'll say y lim c0 comma 120. Now it seems like both are going till 120. So I'll just run both of them again. Here I have the SN position and here I have histogram. Now I'll label it properly. Now I have the two graphs. I have senior position and I have this sample from Poiseuille. They are clearly not comparable. This seems to be following an exponential distribution, and here we know this is a Poiseuille distribution. You have to comment on your plots in part 6. Sample from Poiseuille distribution peaks around the mean 13.58 and has a small spread around the mean. Number of people in senior position graph seems exponentially decreasing and has a large spread. Comparing the graphs, number of people in senior position does not follow Poiseuille distribution. Let's go to question number 3. Question number 3. A multiple choice test with 20 questions require a minimum of 16 correct answers for a student to pass the test. A student prepares for the test using a mobile phone application and generates random practice tests with 20 questions per test. Load the file mctestresults.rdata into R. This creates two variables, correct out of 20 questions. This contains the number of correct answers the student has achieved with the mobile phone application in each 50 generated practice MC tests. Trial numbers. This contains the corresponding test numbers from 1 to 50. The student assumes that the test score X, which is the number of correctly answered questions per test, has a binomial distribution. First, estimate the parameter P using the test scores in mctestresult.rdata, assuming that the test scores are independent of each other and identically distributed. So let's load the data. Open with RStudio. So first part we have to calculate estimate of P. I'll write it as P hat. Mean of this correct out of 20 questions will give me the X values or the estimate of X. I'll divide it by N, that is 20. It will give me P hat. The P hat value is 0.568. Second, calculate the probability that the student will pass a test based on your estimate of P in first part. So I want probability more than equal to 16, that means 1 minus less than equal to 15. So 1 minus P binom 15 comma 20 comma P hat. So the probability is 0.027, very less. Calculate the proportion of practice tests that the student has passed. So the proportion would be length such that we have CO. I want correct out of 20 questions. Out of that, I want only the values that are greater or equal to 16. Then divide by the total values. So I have 0.18. So clearly here 18% of the tests were cleared, but we are getting probability that the person would clear a test is 0.02. So about 3% of the test should have been cleared. So clearly this probability is not consistent throughout these 50 tests. Fourth part, comment on the probability that the student will pass a test based on your answer to part 1, 2 and 3. First we'll write our observation. So from part 1, the probability of correctly answering a question is 0.568. From part 2, probability of passing a test is 0.027. Third part, from probability of test passed is 0.18. This is contradictory as the student performs better with later tests. Hence, the assumption of IID is not valid. Plot the number of correct answers in each of the practical tests against the test number on the horizontal axis. We'll have plot trial numbers as x values and correct out of 20 questions as y values. So clearly you can see we have a linear relationship, positively linear. Comment on the plot in part 5. There seems to be a positive linear relationship between the number of tests and the number of correct questions. A linear model is fit to the data which predicts the number of correct answers in the next test, that is test number 51, will be 18.085. Calculate the probability for a student to pass the next test, that is test number 51. So if the correct is 18.085, this divided by 20 gives me the probability of giving a correct answer. So the probability will be simple, 1 minus p by norm 15, 20, 18.085 divided by 20. So there is about 96% chance that the student will pass the test. Let's go to the next question. Question number 4. Consider a random variable x following a modified exponential distribution with the cumulative density function given here. Plot the CDF as a function of x for x going from 0 to 10 where lambda is 0.2. So first we'll make this x and then plot this function CDF. So sequence from 0 to 10 where the difference is 0.1. Next CDF, we'll write the equation in terms of x. So 1 minus exp minus we have lambda 0.2 into x raised to 2. So here we have the CDFs. Now we have to plot x comma CDF. The name of this plot as modified exponential distribution. Here we go. I would prefer this to be a line, so I will just change the type in inverted commas L. So here we go. So we get the CDF of the modified exponential distribution. Second part, plot the density function f of x as a function of x for the same values of x where lambda is 0.2. So to find the f of x, all you have to do is differentiate this capital F of x. So after differentiating 2 lambda x e raised to minus lambda x square, so this is our function, we are going to use that directly. Or what you can do is for each one of those values you can take f of x plus 1, that means the next value, or x plus 0.1 minus f of x. This is again going to be actually upon 0.1, you can write it as f of x. This is how you can make your f of x graph as well. I'll use the function. So PDF is equal to 2 into lambda was 0.2 into x into exp bracket minus 0.2 into x square. This is going to be my PDF, and now I have to plot. So just copy this, paste it here, and instead of CDF, now I just want PDF. This is my PDF plot. A random sample of 100 values of X is provided in randomsample.rdata. Loading the sample into R will generate a vector X with 100 values representing the sample. Calculate the value of log likelihood function for the parameter lambda at the point lambda is equal to 0.2 based on this random sample. So the f of x that we generated was 2 lambda x e raised to minus lambda x square. So the likelihood is going to be 2 raised to n lambda raised to n, then product of xi e raised to minus lambda summation xi square. So when we take log likelihood, get n log of 2 lambda, then plus summation log of xi and minus lambda summation xi square. Instead of this, you can also write log of product of xi's. This will also work. First, we have to load the data of random sample. So right click, open with RStudio. Yes, this is X now. My X has been replaced. L is 0.2 and I will take N as length of X. Now the log likelihood. I'll have N into log of 2 into L plus sum of log X and minus L into sum of X square. That would be the log likelihood, that is minus 139.7437. Fourth part, plot the value of the log likelihood function for the parameter lambda based on the sample in randomsample.rdata. Your plot of the log likelihood function must be for the values of lambda, that is 0.1 to 1. 0.01 to 1. Okay. So first I'll change the values of L. I'll say it's nothing but a sequence from 0.01 to 1 by changing 0.01. So that is the values of L. This is the function of log likelihood and I've already written it in terms of L, so it will change according to L. So I'll plot L comma paste. Let me check. Seems fine. Now I would like it to have a line, so again type this L, here we go, and I would name it properly. So I have the name modified exponential distribution log likelihood here, and I have lambda here. The maximum likelihood estimator for the parameter lambda based on a random sample x1 to xn is given by this. So we have n upon summation of x square. Fifth part, estimate the value of lambda using the maximum likelihood estimator given above and the sample in randomsample.rdata. Sixth part, comment on the plot in part 4 and the estimate in part 5. So first let's calculate the MLE. So it would be n upon sum of x square and that is 0.191. Now it's almost the same value here in this plot as well, so that is what we'll comment. From the plot in 4th, the MLE seems to be just below 0.2 and the same is reflected by the theoretical value of MLE of 0.191256 calculated in part 5. Let's go to the next question. Question number 5. An insurance company which currently only sells home insurance is interested in entering the car insurance market. An underwriting manager at the company believes that the age and the gender of the policyholder will be the most important factor in estimating the number of claims made under a car insurance policy. The underwriting manager has commissioned a survey of its current home insurance customers who also have car insurance, choosing a male customer and a female customer for every age from 18 to 65, asking them how many car insurance claims they have made in the past 3 years. This data set is saved in the file claimsdata.rdata. After loading this data into R using the command load this, the data frame claim data will be available, which contains the following 3 variables: age, gender, and claim count. Fit a normal linear regression model to the data using claim count as the response variable and age as the explanatory variable. Your answer should include the estimated intercept and slope of the regression line. So let's load the data first. Here it is, claim data. Open with RStudio. Yes. So I'll say model 1 must be, it's just a simple linear model. So LM claim count follows age. The data is going to come from claims data. That's it. We have to show the coefficients of the model. Model $1 coefficients, and here we have the coefficients. A colleague suggests that the response variable would be better modeled as having a Poisson distribution. Fit a generalized linear model to the data using claim count as the response variable, age as the explanatory variable, assuming a Poisson distribution for the response variable. Your answer should include the estimated coefficients and the key information criteria, that is AIC, of the fitted model. Now I'll say model 2 will be GLM. Claim count follows age. Data is claims data, and family is going to be Poisson. Model $2 coefficients, we get the coefficient values. Write it as an answer, and then AIC. Model $2 AIC The underwriting manager wishes to compare the fit of the GLM in part 2 against that of a normal linear regression model in part 1. Explain why scale deviance cannot be used to compare the fit of the model in part 1 and 2. In part 1, there is a linear model that is not equipped to calculate the scale deviance and AIC number, hence it cannot be used for comparison. Fit by choosing a suitable argument for family in the GLM command, a GLM to the data that is equivalent to the model fitted in part 1, your answer should include the estimates of coefficients and the AIC to the fitted model. Because in part 1 we had a normal linear regression, that is why your family is going to be Gaussian. Remember that every linear and multilinear model has response variable as normal distribution. So in GLM it will always be equivalent to normal. So I can just copy this, paste it here and change the family. Gaussian. Then we want the coefficients. This will tell you whether we are correct or not. The intercept and the slope parameter must be exactly same as this, and you can see they are exactly same. and we want AIC. Clearly it has a higher AIC than Poisson, so Poisson seems to be a better model. Fifth, compare the fit of the model fitted in part 2 and 4. The AIC of model 2 is less than the AIC of model 3. The model with response following Poisson distribution is better than the normal distribution. The underwriting manager believes the Poisson GLM would be improved by adding the exponential variable gender as well as the interaction with age. Sixth, fit a Poisson GLM to the data of the form of age star gender. Your answer should include the estimated coefficient and the AIC of this fitted model. Model 4, we have GLM. Claim count follows. We want age star gender. Data would be claims data and family is Poisson. We want the coefficients. Clearly the AIC number here is better or it's smaller than the AIC in the previous model. B part, compare using the scale deviance the fit of this model to that in part 2. So first we will calculate the scale deviance. Change in scale deviance would be model 2 dollar deviance minus model 4 dollar deviance. So that would give me change in scale deviance. Now change in degree of freedom, model 2 dollar df residual minus model 4 dollar df residual. Now my change in scale deviance, if it is greater than the quantile of chi-square at 5%, so in this case 0.95, with the degree of freedom as this change in degree of freedom, then I would say the second model is better. That is, this model 4 is better than the model 2. And see, we are getting true. So clearly we'll conclude that at 5% level model 4 is better than model 2. At 5% level we have sufficient evidence to say model 4 is better than model 2. Model with age star gender is better than the model with age only. That ends our paper here. Overall, the paper was very straightforward. I did not find any confusion. Maybe you might have confusion in finding the log likelihood, but other than that, everything was very straightforward. So this was a high scoring paper, similar to what paper A was. So the passing mark will definitely be high, maybe around 58, maybe 60. If you find any mistake or have any doubt, please write down in the comment. I'll reply as soon as possible. Please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.